بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
بسم الله والحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين ومن تمسك بسنته إلى يوم الدين. ثم أما بعد. Alhamdulillah, we continue going over the tremendous book by the Fadilatul Shaykh Al-Allama Shaykh Salih Al-Fawzan Hafidhahullah Ta'ala, the book which is entitled Aqeedatut Tawheed, the Aqeedah of Tawheed, Aqeedatut Tawheed. We reached the chapter or the section which is entitled Al-Hukm Bighayri Ma Anzal Allah, ruling by other than what Allah has revealed. This chapter is a very important chapter, as it is a chapter that is connected to our Tawheed. It is a must that we understand it correctly and that we understand its proper application. The chapter is important also because you'll find that the Khawarij, they misguide the people as relates to this chapter and the application of the rule. So it's important that we understand the general rule and we understand the issue of applying that rule to specific individuals, as there are rules and regulations that go along with that, and that we understand that there is a difference between stating a general rule and making a judgment on a specific individual. For an example, the one who makes shirk is a mushrik. No one debates this fact. The one who calls upon other than Allah Azza wa Jal, then he is a mushrik. He's a disbeliever. And this is the general rule. Those who go to the graves and they call upon the awliya who are dead inside of the graves, is this not shirk? Are they not committing an act of shirk and calling upon other than Allah Azza wa Jal, making istighatha, seeking help in times of peril with other than Allah Azza wa Jal? Then the answer generally will be yes, this is shirk, this is kufr. The one who does that, then he is a kafir. The great majority of Muslims who live in our day, they fall into something from this. So do we say that they are kuffar? And of course the answer is no. We do not say they're kuffar. Why? Because there are conditions that have to be applied, and there are preventative factors that have to be done away with before an individual will become a kafir. As the Imam al-Sham, Shaykh Nasiruddin al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala, he explained that not everyone who falls into kufr falls upon them. Not everyone who falls into kufr falls upon them. There must be an establishment of proofs and evidences, the Qamatul Hujjah. The proofs and evidence must be established upon this person that they have done an act of disbelief. And as Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala mentions, there also must be a removal of the doubt. We have to remove any doubt that may be there, meaning we have to remove any misconceptions or what have you that may be linked to this person. In other words, there must be establishment of the rule, there must be establishment of the hujjah, and there must be a removal of all of the mawani'. There must be a removal of all of the mawani', all of those things that will prevent an individual from being ruled as being a kafir. For example, if an individual is ignorant, like The vast majority of the ones who pray to the saints that are in their grave, they're ignorant. So we don't make takfir upon them because they're ignorant. As the Allama Imam Uthaymeen rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentions that if an individual is ignorant, he doesn't have ilm, then we don't rule that that individual is a kafir because he didn't know. Likewise, from the mawani', inshallah ta'ala, we're going to repeat this again, but likewise from the mawani', from those things that will prevent an individual from being a disbeliever, the one who has fell into disbelief, is that it can't be mistakenly. He has to intend to do it. It can't be mistakenly. So for an example, if an individual made the sajda of shukr to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he made the prostration of thankfulness unto Allah azza wa jalla, but he wasn't paying attention to his surroundings. So when he made the sajda, he happened to be facing a cross, or he happened to be facing a statue and the like that the people worship. But he wasn't paying attention to his surroundings. The mechanics of his action, we will say that he made prostration to this cross or to this statue, correct? But because he wasn't paying attention, he wasn't aware, he did so what? Mistakenly. He didn't intend to do that. That wasn't his intention. He mistakenly did it. So for this individual, then we don't say he's a kafir, because this was it was a mistake. He didn't intend to do it. So it has to be established that it was intentional. So we have to remove the possibility of there being a mistake. It was mistakenly done. He didn't do it on purpose. Another preventative factor that will prevent a Muslim from being declared a disbeliever will be that he has to have done it in addition to being intentionally, but out of choice, meaning he can't be forced to do it. If he's forced to do it, if he's forced to do an act, or he's forced to say a statement of kufr, then this will be a preventative factor that would remove from him being declared a kafir, because he was forced into it. Another preventative factor would be a false interpretation. If there are individuals who gave to them a false interpretation, telling them that what they're doing is okay, and they twisted some statements of the scholars, or they twisted some things onto this individual, and it made him believe that what he was doing was from Islam, and that which would get you close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he believed that it was in fact Tawheed, not realizing that it was in reality shirk and the like, then this individual is not a disbeliever. Why? Because he has a false interpretation. He has a false interpretation. He was tricked. He was duped. Then we look at those individuals who are from the grave worshippers. You will find many of them, those who are a little more educated, then they have false interpretations. They have been tricked. They have been duped into thinking that this is okay. So these factors, these preventative factors will prevent a Muslim from falling into kufr, even though they have done something from major kufr. And this is why Imam Al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala, he mentioned that that not everyone who falls into kufr falls upon them. Not everyone who falls into kufr falls upon them. So when it comes to individuals, these points are very important to remember as relates to the ruling upon an individual. When one looks at these things, just briefly, he realizes that such is in the hands of the ulama and in the hands of the judges in the Islamic courts. This is not for your everyday man to be speaking and busying himself with making takfir upon anyone. But this is for the ulama to do this. When we mean anyone, we mean as relates to specific individuals. As relates to specific individuals. What we want to look at when we look at this particular issue, and we want to keep into our minds and to understand that the Fadilatul Shaykh Al-Allama Shaykh Salih Al-Fawzan Hafidhahullah Ta'ala, he's speaking about the rule, not the application of the rule upon a specific individual, but he's speaking about the rule and the issue in general. In general. And it's important that we know and that we understand this fact. And the Shaykh, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, he brings many details, some here and some in other details in other books of his and other works of his and other statements of his and the like. And it's important that this is known and this is understood. As our Shaykh Adil Mansour, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, a couple years ago, when we were together, we were reading through this particular book and this particular chapter, this specific chapter. And the Shaykh Hafidhullah Ta'ala, he mentioned that you always have to make it clear that this speech is general. It is not to be applied to specific individuals, but it's general, generally explaining the rule. And that when you look at the vast body of the works of Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan, you see that he brings details that clarify each other. He brings details that clarify each other. He said because some of the people of Takfir, they will take the words of the Shaykh and they try to twist them to make them fit into something which seems like it supports their agenda. They try to take the Shaykh's words and say, look, even Shaykh Fawzan says that so and so is a kafir. And they twist the Shaykh's words and they lie upon the Shaykh. He said, so it's important that we bring the details of what the Shaykh he mentions, so as to make it clear to these individuals not to use the Shaykh's words outside of his context. He mentioned this is a very important point. And our Shaykh, Shaykh Ahmed As-Subi'i, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, he mentioned that there is no surprise that Ahlul Bid'ah, they will misuse the statements of the ulama to fit their purpose, and that they will twist the statements of the ulama to fit their purpose. He said there's no surprise that they do this, because you find Ahlul Bid'ah, they do that with the statements of the Sahaba and the statements of the Prophet ﷺ. They do that with the statements of Allah Azza wa Jalla. He said, so it's no surprise that they will twist the statements of the scholars and try to twist them from their real meaning. Na'am. Ala kulli hal, I want you to keep all of this in mind when we are going over this chapter. And just so as to give clarity to clarity, bi'idhnillahi ta'ala, as relates to our Shaykh, Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, the Shaykh, he was mentioned, it was asked unto him, and this Q&A can be found on his website, about an individual who makes takfir on the Muslim rulers, about an individual who says that the Muslim rulers, they are kuffar, and he spreads this speech amongst the people. And they asked the Shaykh, should you warn against this person to the end of it? Na'am, and mention his name and so on and so forth. And the Shaykh, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, he censored the likes of what this person is doing, and he says that na'am, if it is befitting to warn against him, meaning that if it won't cause a greater fitna, X, Y, and Z, if it is appropriate to mention him by name and beneficial to mention him by name and won't cause any repercussions in that or make the situation worse, then his name should be mentioned and he should be warned against, so that the people won't follow him in that corruption. So the stance of the Shaykh as relates to this, it is clear. Those who try to utilize these general rules and then say that the rulers are kuffar, this is from the Khawarij. This is from the way of the Khawarij. Na'am. And as our Shaykh, Shaykh Ahmed Bazmood, Hafidhullah Ta'ala, he mentions, very important point, because we have mentioned that what? That if a person has been given a false interpretation, then this will prevent the ruling of him being a kafir taking place. It will prevent that takfir can be made upon him, right? If a person gave him a false interpretation. Shaykh al-Islam Taymiyyah, he said that once an individual's Islam is firm, you can find this in Majmu' al-Fatawa, that once an individual's Islam is confirmed, you have yaqeen about his Islam, he said then that will not be removed, lam yazul bishak. It will not be removed with doubt. Once you know that, once you're sure a person is Muslim, then you can't bring a doubtful matter and say he's not a Muslim. The certainty of his Islam won't be removed with a doubtful matter. Does that make sense? Sheikh Bazmou, he said that the Muslim rulers who may be ruling their governments, but other than that which Allah has revealed, he said we don't make takfir upon them. He said because is there anyone, and he mentioned the ulama'as and imams of the recent past who mentioned these rulers and said we cannot make takfir of them. We can't make takfir of them. Shaykh Bazmou, he goes on, he mentions, he says, can anyone say with certainty that they are not pseudo scholars, right? Quote unquote learned people in their circles, in their inner circles and the like, who have not given unto them a false interpretation telling them that what they're doing is okay and compliant to Islam. You said, can we say with certainty that that's not the case, and that they're not doing what they're doing based upon a doubt, based upon a false interpretation? When one sits back and he reflects upon this, he realizes that what? None of us can say that with certainty. But in fact, when you listen to them speak, you will realize that yes, they're saying what they're saying based upon a false interpretation. Someone has lied unto them. Likewise, you find individuals trying to use the speech of Imam Ahmad, rahimahullah ta'ala, to try to make takfir upon the Muslims. But Imam Ahmad, did he make takfir upon the Khalifa of his time, who was trying to force him to say that the Qur'an was created? No, he did not. Saying that the Qur'an is created, what's the general rule for this? The general rule for this is that what? Whoever says the Qur'an is created is a kafir. That's the general rule, right? But was that general rule applied specifically on the Khalifa in the time of Imam Ahmad by Imam Ahmad? No. Why? Because those mubtadi'ah, those people of bid'ah that were in the court of the Khalifa, those quote-unquote scholars, those ulama of su', those evil scholars that were in the court of the Khalifa, they were giving him the false interpretation to where he believed that that was the proper Islamic stance. And this is why Imam Ahmad never declared him to be a non-Muslim. He never declared him to be a non-Muslim. But rather he would say, as is famous on Imam Ahmad, that if he had one dua that he knew that Allah Ta'ala would answer it for him, if he had one dua that it was promised to him or guaranteed to him that it will be answered, he said that he will make it for the ruler. And he will make it for the ruler. Now, so all of this goes to show you that what? That there is a distinction that Ahlul Sunnah they make between the general rule and then the application of that rule. And this is why it's very important that we return back to the ulama. We return back to the ulama to seek understanding. An individual, as Shaykh Ahmed, he mentions that an individual, the Shaykh Ahmed Bazmou, he mentions, Hamdulillah Ta'ala, that an individual who takes his knowledge straight from the books without referring it back to the ulama, then this is what is from the causes of a person becoming haddadi. A person becoming haddadi, extremist. Haddadi. Now, from a person becoming what? From the khawarij. Now, is that what? Is that they take their understandings from the books and they don't refer back to the ulama. They don't refer back to the ulama to check them so that they understand properly. Well, so it is a must that we constantly refer back to the ulama to check our understandings, to make sure that our understandings are accurate and that they line up with that which the Prophet ﷺ and the Sahaba they were upon. Naam. And as Shaykh Salih Abdis al-Shaykh he mentions that it is not enough just to use a proof or evidence. He said, but rather the proof and the evidence has to be used properly, for lack of a better term. Now, I'm paraphrasing what the Shaykh mentions. That the proof and evidence, it has to be used properly. That's the importance, and that's the affair. Not that a person brings a proof or evidence, but that he brings a proof and evidence in a proper manner for the proper thing, and so on and so forth to the end of it. You have to use it properly, not just he said an ayah or he said a hadith, but that he applied it, the true understanding of the ayah or the hadith, properly, in order to come and utilize it as a proof and an evidence. Ala kulli hal, the Shaykh Fawzan, he mentions, he says, وَمِنْ مُقْتَضَى الْإِيمَانِ بِاللَّهِ الإيمان بالله تعالى وعبادته. He said, and from that which is necessitated by belief in Allah, having true belief in Allah, and from worshipping Allah Azza wa Jal, الخضوع لحكمه ورضا بشرعه. He says is that we have to submit ourselves and humble ourselves to His rule, and we have to be pleased with His legislation. والرجوع إلى كتابه وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم عند الاختلاف في الأقوال والعقائد وفي الخصومات. He says that we have to return back to the book and the sunnah. We have to return back to His book and to the sunnah of His messenger when there are differences in statements, whether these differences are in statements, or they are in beliefs, or they are due to arguments and disputes. وفي الدماء والأموال, whether these issues they relate to blood, lives, money, wealth, property. وسائل الحقوق, and all of the rights. All of the rights we have to refer it back to the book and the sunnah to understand it properly. Now, when we have ikhtilaf, we want to know what is right and the like, we have to refer back to the book of Allah and the sunnah of His messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, as understood by the Salaf of this ummah. فَإِنَّ اللَّهُ هُوَ الْحَكَمُ وَإِلَيْهِ الْحُكْمُ. Allah Ta'ala, He is the ruler and unto Him is the rule. فَيَجِبُ عَلَى الْحُكَّامِ أَن يَحْكَمُوا بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ. So it is wajib upon the rulers that they rule by that which Allah has revealed. وَيَجِبُ عَلَى رَعِيَّةٍ, and it is wajib upon those who are ruled. You understand? It's wajib upon those who are ruled أن يتحاكموا إلى ما أنزل الله في كتابه وسنة رسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم. Is that those who are ruled, is that they refer their rulings back to that which Allah has revealed in His book and in the sunnah of His messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So this issue is not just upon what? The ruler. And this is another doubt that you find from the likes of the Khawarij, from the Ikhwan Muslimin, and the like. Is that what? Is that they focus in on the ruler as if the ruler has to rule the country by Allah's book, but the individual don't got to rule his house by Allah's book. It goes for both. The countries have to be ruled by the book of Allah Azza wa Jal and that which Allah has revealed, no doubt. Likewise, an individual's home, his household, his personal self has to be ruled by what? By what Allah has revealed. And this is why Imam Al-Albani rahimahullah ta'ala, he used to often say, كونوا دولة الإسلام كونوا دولة الإسلام في قلوبكم قبل أن تكون في أرضكم. He used to say, establish the dawla of Islam, establish the Islamic state in your heart before it will be established in your land. Establish the Islamic state in your heart, the true Islamic state in your heart before it will be established in the land. Because what? Because the real change, it comes from the change of the individuals. As an individual level, then that change will spread to a societal level. على كل حال, to make a long story short, it is a must that what تكون دولة الإسلام نعم هكذا قال الشيخ تكون دولة الإسلام في قلوبكم قبل أن تكون في أرضكم. The Islamic state will be established in your heart before it's established in your land. نعم. So individuals, they must also rule themselves by the book of Allah. When we look at these ones from the Ikhwan Muslimin, they blame the ruler for not ruling by the book of Allah, for not ruling by what Allah has revealed. But when you look at themselves and in their person, you find that they are not running themselves and their families by that which Allah has revealed. So it's for the Hakim, Na'am, and it's for the Ra'iyah, the ruler and those who are ruled. The Shaykh, he says, قال الله تعالى, Allah Ta'ala, he says, في حق الولاء, Allah Ta'ala says, as relates to the rulers, إن الله يأمركم أن تؤدوا الأمانات إلى أهلها وإذا حكمتم بين الناس أن تحكموا بالعدل. That Allah Ta'ala says what means, and verily Allah has commanded you to give and to render the trust to those whom the trust it is due unto them. And when you rule between the people, then you must rule with justice. You must rule with justice. Na'am. وقال في حق الرعية, Allah Ta'ala says as it relates to the ones who are ruled, يا أيها الذين آمنوا أطيعوا الله وأطيعوا الرسول وأولو الأمر منكم. O you who believe, obey Allah and obey the messenger and those who are in authority over you. فإن تنازعتم في الشيء, and if you differ in anything, فردوه إلى الله والرسول, then refer back unto Allah and to His messenger. إن كنتم تؤمنون بالله واليوم الآخر, if you truly believe in Allah and the last day. ذلك خير وأحسن تأويلا, this is better for you and this is the most best of final determinations. على كل حال, we see from this ayah a number of things. From them is that it is wajib upon those who are ruled to obey the Muslim rulers. It is wajib upon them to obey the Muslim rulers. Also is that if we differ in anything, then we have to refer back to the book and we have to refer back to the sunnah so as to see what is the way out, the solution to that difference. We have to refer back to the book and the sunnah. That's where we find our solution. Now, that's where we find our solution, in the book and in the sunnah. Which means that what? That we have to rule our lives based on that which Allah has revealed. ثم بين أنه لا يجتمع الإيمان مع تحاكم إلى غير ما أنزل الله. And Allah Ta'ala, He also explained in the Qur'an that true faith will never be combined, does not come together with ruling until other than that which Allah Ta'ala has revealed. Now, and again, there are details with this. As a Shaykh at the end of the chapter, he brings the details of those who rule but other than that which Allah Ta'ala has revealed. And that from it is kufr akbar, and from it is kufr asghar. You got from it the major kufr, and you got from it the minor kufr. You have some of people who rule by what other than Allah has revealed, and they are kuffar. And you got others who rule by other than what Allah has revealed, and they are not kuffar, but they are Muslims. They are Muslims. Now, so they're details. They're details. على كل حال, Allah Ta'ala, He explains, ألم ترى إلى الذين يزعمون أنهم آمنوا بما أنزل الله أو آمنوا بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك يريدون أن يتحاكموا إلى الطاغوت قد أمروا أن يكفروا به ويريد الشيطان أن يضلهم ضلالا بعيدا. Allah Ta'ala says what means, and have you not seen a people who think, a people who claim to believe in that which was revealed unto you, بِمَا أُنزِلَ إِلَيْكَ وَمَا أُنزِلَ مِنْ قَبْلِكَ, that which was revealed unto you and that which was revealed before you. However, they seek to rule or to find judgment with the Taghut. They want to rule by the way of the Taghut. and find judgment with the Taghut, of which they have been commanded to disbelieve in. And the shaitan, he seeks to lead you all astray. He seeks to lead you all far, far, far astray. Allah Ta'ala, He negates the iman of these individuals who claim they believe and then prefer the way of the Taghut, who say they believe but they prefer the way of the Taghut. And we know to knowingly choose and to deem better other than that which Allah has revealed, then this is kufr akbar. This is major kufr that makes a person a kafir. Ila qawlihi ta'ala, until Allah Ta'ala's statement, فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ حَتَّى يُحَكِّمُوكَ فِي مَا شَجَرَ بَيْنَهُمْ ثُمَّ لَا يَجِدُوا فِي أَنفُسِهِمْ حَرَجًا مِمَّا قَضَيْتَ وَيُسَلِّمُوا تَسْلِيمًا. Allah Ta'ala's statement, what means? And know, N-O, negation. And N-O, know, by your Lord. They do not truly believe until they utilize you as a judge, O Muhammad, in that which has transpired between them. And then they don't find any difficulty. They don't find any problems within themselves from that which you have ruled, and they submit to it with a complete submitting. This is a very, very, very important point that we all have to keep in mind when it comes to the rules and regulations of the Deen of Islam, is that we have to submit ourselves with the complete submitting. We have to submit ourselves with the complete submitting unto Allah Azza wa Jalla, and not find problems with the rules and regulations of the Deen of Islam. This is from Iman, that we submit ourselves, and we have to submit ourselves to the rule of Allah Azza wa Jalla. فنفى سبحانه وتعالى نفيا مؤكدا بالقسم الإيمان عمن لم يتحاكم إلى الرسول صلى الله عليه وسلم ويرضى بحكمه ويسلم له. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He has negated, the Shaykh he mentions, He negated the Iman in a affirmed manner, in a affirmed fashion, emphasis, by the swearing. Because Allah Ta'ala, He says, فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ فَلَا وَرَبِّكَ. And know by your Lord. Allah Ta'ala swears by Himself. Allah Ta'ala, He negates the Iman on those who do not لَمْ يَتَحَاكُمْ إِلَى رَسُولِ اللَّهِ صَلَّى اللَّهُ عَلَيْهِ وَسَلَّمَ. They do not go to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم as a judge, to judge in their affair. They do not go to the ruling of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and they are not pleased with his ruling, nor do they submit unto it. Allah Ta'ala, He has negated the Iman for them. And as we mentioned before, this has details. For some, that negation will be in totality, and others, that negation will be partial. Meaning, for some, they will be kuffar, completely outside the Deen of Islam, and for others, they will be Muslims who are falling into kufr. نعم. كما أنه حكم بكفر ولاة الذين لا يحكمون بما أنزل الله وبظلمهم وفسقهم. And Allah Ta'ala, He has also ruled that those who do not rule by that which He has revealed, then they are kuffar, some of them. Others from amongst them, they are criminals, and, or oppressors, and others from amongst them, they are criminals. Now, so Allah Ta'ala makes it clear unto us that what? That some will rule by other than what Allah has revealed. Some of them are kuffar. Others from them, then it's kufr dun kufr. There's a kufr that's under kufr. Now, ala kulli, this can be seen in Allah Ta'ala's statement, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَافِرُونَ. Whoever does not rule by what Allah has revealed, then they are kuffar. They are disbelievers. But Allah Ta'ala also says, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الظَّالِمُونَ. Whoever does not rule by what Allah has revealed, then they are the oppressors. They are the oppressors. Allah Ta'ala, He also says, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ فَأُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْفَاسِقُونَ. And whoever does not rule by what Allah has revealed, then they are the criminals. So Allah Ta'ala tells us that those who don't rule by what Allah has revealed, some are kuffar, some are zalimun, oppressors, and some are fasiqun, some are criminals. Some are criminals. So it's clear that what? It's not always the same ruling, just blanketed across the board, like the Khawarij, they want you to believe that it's just the same ruling across the board in every circumstance and situation, then that's it. No, that's the way of the Khawarij. Ahlul Sunnah, we're upon the middle, upon the haqq, upon the truth. وَلَا بُدَّ مِنْ الْحُكْمِ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهُ. Shaykh says, so we have to rule by what Allah Ta'ala has revealed. وَتَحَاكُمْ إِلَيْهِ, and we have to seek judgment unto it. نعم في جميع موارد النزاع في الأقوال واجتهادية بين العلماء. He says is that we have to rule by that which Allah has revealed in all disputes, whether they are in statements that are statements from ijtihad, statements of ijtihad amongst the scholars. We have to utilize them and look back to what Allah has revealed. It's a very important point from another aspect and standpoint, is that even when the ulama, they have said what they have said, then we have to look at it and in light of what Allah Ta'ala has revealed. The Shaykh, he mentions, he says, فَلَا يُقْبَلْ مِنْهَا إِلَّا مَا دَلَّ عَلَيْهِ الْكِتَابُ وَالسُّنَّةِ. He says, so it is not accepted from it except for that which the book and the sunnah point to it. So even from the statements of the ulama, if it's not supported by the book and the sunnah, then it is what? Rejected. As Imam Malik, he mentioned that everyone, you take from the statement and you leave it. Now, يَأْخُذْ مِنْ قَوْلِهِ وَيُرَدْ. Everyone you can take from his statement and you leave it. He said, إِلَّا صَاحِبْ هَذَا الْقَبْرِ, except for the owner of his grave, and he pointed to the grave of the Prophet ﷺ. Everybody else, then what they say has to be in compliance with the book and the sunnah before it's accepted, even the ulama. The Shaykh, he says, مِنْ غَيْرِ تَعَسُّبْ لِمَذْهَبٍ. He said, this is without being staunch and bigoted to a particular madhab. Without being staunch and bigoted to a particular madhab. ولا تحيز. And nor do we do so تحيزا لإمام. We don't do it to defend an imam. So it was not done so as to defend an imam. وفي المرافعات والخصومات وفي سائر الحقوق. He says, we also have the rule, and so Allah Ta'ala has revealed in all disputes, in all launching of defenses and so on and so forth, in all of the rights, whatever the issue may be related to, then we have to rule by what Allah has revealed. We have to look and see what Allah Ta'ala has revealed. In other words, it has to permeate all aspects of our lives. There is no separation for the Muslim between his religion and between his religious life and worldly life. They're one and the same. In other words, we're not one way when we come to the masjid and behind closed doors, and then when we at work and the like, then we somebody totally different. No. The Shaykh, he says, وَلَا فِي الْأَحْوَالِ الشَّخْصِيَّةِ فَقَطَ. He said, meaning that we don't rule by what Allah has revealed only in our personal lives only. No, this is not correct. كما في بعض الدول التي تنتصب إلى الإسلام. He said, like it comes in some lands who claim Islam or connect themselves to Islam. Now, this is better. Some Islamic lands, we should say, right? It is a predominant idea there that Islam is restricted to your personal life. That your deen, that's between you and your Lord, that you should keep it in closed doors. But when you come out politically, your political philosophy, your religion shouldn't have any bearing on it. your mannerism and how you work, and your ethics at work, and so on and so forth, your religion shouldn't have any bearing on it. Into the end of it, yeah. This is what the people they try to say. Keep your deen behind closed doors, and come work with us on this project because we got to accomplish whatever it is we're trying to accomplish. No, this is not correct. But as a Muslim, our deen permeates all aspects of our lives. It mandates and dictates to us how we move in every situation. Now, in every situation. فإن الإسلام كل لا يتجزأ, because Islam is complete. It is not broken down and compartmentalized. Now, Islam is complete. It's not broken down and compartmentalized. In other words, a person can't just take from Islam certain pieces and leave other pieces. Islam is complete. Let's take Islam throughout all of his life. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu dukhulu fi silmi kaffa. Allah ta'ala says, O you who believe, enter into Islam completely. Enter into Islam completely. Allah ta'ala, He's addressing the believers. Because He says, Ya ayyuha alladhina amanu, O you who believe, enter into Islam completely. This don't mean, okay, become Muslim again. But it means what? Enter into Islam completely. Every aspect of your life. Your statements, your actions, your beliefs, your movements, everything is governed by what? By Islam. Whether you are the ruler or you're the one being ruled, whether you are the general or you are a foot soldier in the army, whether you are Imam of the Masjid or you are a janitor, whether you are a CEO of a company or you're a truck driver, it don't matter. Whatever you do, Islam governs how you do it. Now, it governs how you do it. You understand? وقال تعالى, Allah Ta'ala says, أَتُؤْمِنُونَ بِبَعْضِ الْكِتَابِ وَتَكْفُرُونَ بِبَعْضِ. Do you believe in some of the book and disbelieve in other portions of the book? You see? So it is a must that it's a must that Islam is in all aspects of our lives. The Shaykh says, وَكَذَلِكَ يَجِبُ عَلَى اتباع المذاهب والمناهج المعاصرة أن يردوا أقوال أئمتهم إلى الكتاب والسنة. He said it is a must of those followers of the modern day madhahib and methodologies, these modern day methodologies, and that they have to refer the statements of their leaders back to the book and the sunnah. فَمَا وَافَقُهُمَا أَخَذُوا بِهِ. And whatever complies with the book and the sunnah from their statements, then they accept them and they take them. وَمَا خَالَفَهُمَا رُدُّوهُ دُونَ تَعَسُّبٍ وَلَا تَحَيُّزٍ. And whatever goes against and contradicts the book and the sunnah, then they are to reject it without being bigoted and without trying to defend it. Without being bigoted and without trying to defend it. وَلَا سِيَّمَا فِي الْأُمُورِ الْعَقِيدَةِ, especially when it comes to the affairs of creed. فإن الأئمة الإسلام فإن الأئمة رحمهم الله أي أئمة الإسلام. نعم. This is what they advise. نعم. The Imams of Islam, this is what they advise us with. نعم. وهذا مذهبهم جميعا. And this was their way. This was the way of the true Imams of Islam. فمن خالف ذلك فليس متبعا لهم. And whoever goes against that, they're not really following the Imams. Meaning, like, for example, Imam Ahmad, Imam Malik, Imam Shafi'i, Imam Abu Hanifa, whoever tries to take one of their statements that's in clear contradiction to the book and the sunnah, and that's what they want to stick to, they're not really following those ai''imah. Because those ai''imah, their intent was to be compliant to the deen, to be compliant to the book and compliant to the sunnah. Their intent was to be correct. But Kullu ibn Adam khata', all the children of Adam make mistakes. Sometimes in trying to be correct, the mujtahid, he's wrong. But when the mujtahid is wrong, he gets one reward. Now, because this is an indication that sometimes the mujtahid is wrong. Now, so with that being the case, they all strove to be upon that which is correct. They all strove to be compliant to the book and the sunnah, and they warned against going against the book and the sunnah. And even if it was in support of a statement of theirs, as many of them, or as they all have said something to the like of, if you find that what I say contradicts an authentic hadith or contradicts that was correct, then throw what I say away. Throw it away. Don't go with what I say. Now, Imam Shafi'i says that the authentic, Imam Shafi'i says that the hadith that's sahih, that's my madhab. If the hadith is sahih, that's my madhab. Now, because this is what the imam they were upon. So anybody who claims that they are followers of these imams and then they contradict the book and the sunnah, what they think to be supporting their imam or being bigoted to their imam or in defense of their imam, in reality they're not following their imam. They're not following their imam. فَلَنْتَصِبَ إِلَيْهِمْ. So the Shaykh says they are not followers of them, even if they claim that they are followers of them. وَهُوَ مِمَّا قَالَ اللَّهُ تَعَالَى فِيهِمْ. And they are from those whom Allah Ta'ala has said as it relates to them, اتَّخَذُوا أَحْبَارَهُمْ وَرُهْبَانَهُمْ أَرْبَابًا مِّن دُونِ اللَّهِ وَالْمَسِيحَ بْنَ مَرْيَمَ. They are those whom Allah Ta'ala says they have taken their monks and their rabbis as lords along with Allah, or as lords besides Allah. And they have taken Isa ibn Maryam as a lord beside Allah. Naam. Meaning that what, as we know from the tafsir of this ayah, is that these were individuals, meaning from the monks and from the monks and the rabbis. Now, the Jews and the Christians, they took them as lords along with Allah because they will listen to them when they said that things were halal that Allah had made haram. Allah said something was haram, then monks and rabbis say no, it's halal, and then the Jews and the Christians say it's halal. Allah says something is halal, and then the monks and the rabbis say no, it is haram, and then the Jews and the Christians say it's haram. Now, so they follow the rulings of their monks and their rabbis and not the rulings of Allah Azza wa Jal. So Allah Ta'ala says that this was them taking their monks and their rabbis as arbaban min dunillah, as lords or as along with Allah. They took them and they made shirk with them. Now, and the people they make shirk with Isa ibn Maryam, and they make shirk with Isa ibn Maryam, Naam, with Jesus. However, Jesus alayhi salatu wassalam, Isa alayhi salatu wassalam, he never contradicted the rule of Allah Azza wa Jal. He never said something was haram that Allah said was halal, nor did he say something was halal that Allah said was haram. He never contradicted the message and the rule of Allah Azza wa Jal. He was compliant to it, and he taught the people that which was revealed unto him. He never contradicted the message that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has sent him with. But it was those who came later who lied upon him who had done that. Now, it was those who come later who have lied upon him who have done that. And if a person reflects upon the ayah, then he will see how even in the ayah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when stating the fact, He has distanced Isa ibn Maryam from those monks and from those rabbis. When one looks at the ayah itself and how it is worded, he will see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioning the fact that people, yes, have taken Isa as a Lord along with Allah Azza wa Jal, but Isa alayhi salam, he's not pleased with that. He's not pleased with that. He don't agree with that. He don't know nothing about that. And when he comes back, alayhi salam, he's going to break the cross and show them that this is not correct, and he's going to war against them. He's not going to accept no more jizya. The jizya will come to an end at that time, as the Prophet ﷺ told us that the jizya, it will only last until Isa comes. When Isa comes, he knows this from the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ that the jizya has come to an end. No more jizya. So he's not going to accept from those Christians who take him as a Lord that, but rather he will fight against them. He will fight against them. Now, in all means, he will fight against them in every sense of the word. So he's not pleased with that at all. And he did not do the likes of what these monks and these rabbis have done. Ala kulli hal, Allah Ta'ala, He states the fact of what is going on, but at the same time He distanced Isa ibn Maryam from what these ones have done, because Isa is free from what they have done. Alayhi salatu wassalam. The Shaykh says, فَلَيْسَتْ الْآيَةِ خَاصَةً بِالنَّصَارَى. It's a very important point. He says this ayah is not particular to just the Jews and just the Christians, excuse me. This ayah is not particular to just the Christians. Because the manner of the Christians was what? Is that whatever their monk said is what they did. Even if it contradicted the rule of Allah Azza wa Jalla. They went with what their monk said. You understand? If the Muslims act in a similar fashion, we would have done the same thing. So it's not specific to just the Jews and the Christians. It's not specific to just the Christians. But it applies to all who do the same thing. So if we listening to people, whether they can be from the ulama of the religion or not, but what they are saying is in clear contradiction to what Allah Ta'ala has revealed, we can't go with it. We can't follow anyone in their mistake. As far as the Imams of Ahlul Sunnah, na'am, they're human beings, so sometimes they may make a mistake. We don't follow them in that mistake. We don't follow them in that mistake. As far as those of Ahlul Bid'ah, who the whole of their way is built upon error and mistake, we don't listen to them, period. We don't listen to them, period. Na'am, like. So this is not particular to just the Christians. بل تتناول كل من فعل مثل فعلهم, but it will encompass anyone who does what they have done. فمن خالف ما أمر الله به ورسوله صلى الله عليه وسلم, for anyone who has contradicted that which, or contradicted what Allah has commanded with, or that which the Prophet ﷺ has commanded with. بأن حكم بين الناس بغير ما أنزل الله, to rule amongst the people but other than that which Allah Ta'ala has revealed, أو طلب ذلك اتباعا لما يهواه ويريد, or he commands and he seeks for that, following what he wants to do, following his desires and what he wants. If an individual were to do that and knowingly contradict and go against that which Allah Ta'ala has revealed, فقد خلع ربقة الإسلام والإيمان من عنقه, then he would have removed the yoke of Islam. He removed the yoke of Islam and Iman from his neck. The one who knowingly chooses, without coercion, fully aware, premeditatively, to rule by what other than what Allah has revealed, because he wants to support his desires and what he wants, then he has removed the yoke of Islam from his neck. وَإِنْ زَعَمَ أَنَّهُ مُؤْمِنٌ, even if he believes he's a believer. فإن الله تعالى أنكر على من أراد ذلك, because Allah, He has refuted the one who has done that. وأكذبهم في زعمهم الإيمان, and He has showed how they are liars in their claim of believing. فقال الله تعالى, Allah Ta'ala, He says, ألم ترى إلى الذين يزعمون أنهم آمنوا بما أنزل إليك وما أنزل من قبلك يريدون أن يتحاكموا إلى الطاغوت. Allah Ta'ala says, what translated means, have you not seen those who claim that they believe in that which was revealed to you and that which was revealed before you, and they want to go to the Taghut for judgment? نعم وقد أمروا أن يكفروا به, and they have been commanded to disbelieve in it. ويريد الشيطان أن يضلهم ضلالا بعيدا, and the shaitan wants to lead them far astray. لما في ضمن قوله عز وجل, and this is as relates in the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, يزعمون, they think or they claim, they falsely claim, يعني من نفي إيمانهم, then this is a clear indication of a negation of their iman. Yani those who they complete all of the shurut of takfir, and they have done away with all of the mawani', then na'am, these are the ones, they are kuffar. فإن يزعمون, and if they make this claim, إنما يقال غالبا, this word, this particular phrasing, that they make a claim or they falsely claim, those who claim such and such and such and such, إنما يقال غالبا لمن ادعى دعوة وهو فيها كاذب لمخالفته لموجبها وعمله بما ينافيها. This is what is said about an individual who they make a claim for something, but their claim is false, due to them going against that which is necessitated by that claim, acting contrary to that manner, and due to them doing things that will negate that claim. نعم ويحقق هذا القول, and what further emphasizes this particular point, ويحقق هذا قوله عز وجل, and this will further emphasizes this point is Allah Ta'ala's statement, وَقَدْ أُمِرُوا أَن يَكْفُرُوا بِهِ, and they were commanded to disbelieve in it. لأن الكفر بالطاغوت, and this is because disbelief in the Tawheed, rukun at-Tawheed, is a pillar of Tawheed. And this is go back to what we mentioned at the onset of the class, is that this is very important bab, because it is linked to our Tawheed. Ruling by Allah has revealed, and is linked to our Tawheed. Now, we have to disbelieve in what? In the Taghut. And that is meaning what? In totality. Disbelieve in the Taghut in totality. So it's very important that we understand what the connection, that we have to disbelieve in the Taghut. كما في آية البقرة, as it comes in the ayah of Baqarah. فإذا لم يحصل هذا ركن, if this pillar is not established, لم يكن موحدا, then a person is not in totality a believer. He's not in totality what? Yani he's not a monotheist. والتوحيد هو أساس الإيمان, and Tawheed is the foundation of Iman. الذي تصلح به جميع الأعمال, that which all of the actions are correct with it. وتفسد بعدمه, in which the actions يعني أو وتفسد بعدمه, in which the actions are null and void without it. So Iman, it is that which will spoil the actions if the actions is not there. Spoil the actions if Iman is not there. Now, كما أن ذلك بين في قوله تعالى, and this is clear in Allah Ta'ala's statement, فَمَنْ يَكْفُرُ بِالطَّاغُوتِ وَيُؤْمِنْ بِاللَّهِ فَقَدْ اسْتَمْسَكَ بِالْعُرْوَةِ الْوُثْقَى, and whoever disbelieves in the Taghut and he believes in Allah, then verily he would have grabbed hold on to the most trustworthy handhold. And the ulama, they say what is meant by the most trustworthy handhold, and that is the qawl La ilaha illallah. وَذَلِكَ أَنَّ تَحَاكُمَ إِلَى طَاغُوتِ إِيمَانٌ بِهِ, and from this standpoint is that those who they go to the ruling and they rule and they judge by the Taghut, then this is an indication of their belief in the Taghut, of which we have been ordered to disbelieve in. Now, that makes sense? على كل حال, it is important to reiterate that as relates to this, the Shaykh Hafidhahullah Ta'ala is explaining again the general ruling. Now, as the ulama, they mentioned, and from them the Shaykh Bazmoul Hafidhahullah Ta'ala mentioned that sometimes some of the shabab, they will hear the likes of this from the ulama, the general rule, and then they'll go and say, oh, well, so-and-so as an individual is a kafir, and so-and-so individual is a kafir, and so-and-so individual is a kafir, and so on and so forth. And this is not correct. This is not correct, as we previously mentioned and explained, that these general rules are general rules as far as the application or the of these general rules upon specific individuals. One, this is reserved for the ulama. That's one. Two, there has to be an establishment of proofs and evidences against the person, even if they fall into kufr, even if they fall into something that's clear kufr. You have to establish the proofs and the evidences against the individual. And this is according to the statement of Allah Azza wa Jal, وَمَنْ يُشَاقِقِ الرَّسُولَ مِنْ بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُ الْهُدَى وَيَتَّبِعْ غَيْرَ سَبِيلِ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ إلى آخر الآية. يعني the one who contradicts the messenger, and whoever contradicts the messenger after clear guidance have been made known to them, and they follow the way other than the way of the believers. The shahid is allowed to add a statement, مِن بَعْدِ مَا تَبَيَّنَ لَهُ الْهُدَى, after clear guidance had been made known to him. So it's not just they contradict the way of the Messenger and they follow the way other than the way of the believers, but they do it after clear guidance had been made known to them. So it has to be explained to them that what they're doing is wrong. So you have to establish the hujjah. And as Shaykh Hussain Taymiyyah said, you have to remove the doubt. Whatever doubt they may have with them, you got to remove it from them. Now, in other words, they have to complete the conditions for takfir, meaning that what? That they did it knowingly, they had knowledge of it, and they did it anyway. They did it out of choice. They did it, what do you say? They weren't given a false interpretation, right? But they chose to do it. They knew what they were doing. They weren't coerced in doing it. They were upon aim, so on and so forth. Then, and this is with the removal of their opposites, meaning they knew what they were doing, which removed them being ignorant of it. Right? They deliberately did it, intended to do it, so this removes them doing it mistakenly. Right? They chose to do it, they weren't forced to do it. Right? There was no false interpretation given, so therefore they weren't upon a false interpretation. You understand? And this is what? After the establishment of the proofs and the evidences. So the proofs and the evidence established against them, and they have fulfilled all of the shurut of the takfir, and they have negated all of the preventative factors and so on and so forth. Then at that point, then the kufr falls upon them. But ala kullin, this is for the ulama. It's not for your everyday individual. This is for the ulama. And it's important that we know and that we understand the likes of this when it comes to these chapters. That we don't read them and then go and say, oh, so-and-so individual is a kafir. Because what we're speaking about now is what? Is the general rule. We're not speaking about the application upon specific individuals. That's a whole other thing. The general rule and the application upon specific individuals. And it's like this in the deen of Islam as a whole. You have general rules, right? And then you may have, for example, certain other facts that will alter the general rule based on the situation. Give an example. The general rule in custody, for example, is that the children, they go with the mother upon the divorce. You with me? Once the woman remarries, the father has more right to those children. The father has more right to those children. So the mother supposed to give up custody, and the custody goes to the father. Right? That's the general rule in those situations with children that fit into that age range. That's the general rule. Right? But there can be certain underlying factors that will negate the application of that general rule. You follow? For example, it may be a situation where the mother remarries, right? But her previous husband has very bad religion. He doesn't practice Islam. He doesn't want the girls to cover. So if he goes with them, he's not going to let them cover. Yeah, and so on and so forth. In a situation like this, when the issue is brought up to the Muslim judge, and based upon the merit of that particular case, they'll say, okay, no, the children stay with the mother. Because it better suits the general welfare that they stay with the mother. It's better situation for them, so they don't go to the father. So the general rules not apply. Why? Because the situations of that particular, or the circumstances of that particular situation. Right? And you can add to that a whole bunch of, maybe the father was abusive, so on and so forth. Right? physically abusive, whatever, and that. So then they will stay with the mother. What was the situation where the father molested the children? He can't come and say, oh, but she got married again, so now I get the kids back. No, the underlying factors that have to be applied in that specific case. And you find it's like this in Islam. It's not black and white. It's not black and white. So likewise, how much more so, and if this is in the case as it relates to custody, then how much more so in cases that relate to a person being a Muslim or not being a Muslim? You have to, when it comes to general rule, that's one thing. When it comes to applying that rule to a specific individual, that is a whole nother ballgame. A whole nother ballgame. That is extremely serious. Right? And the like. Ala kulli hal, it's important that we know and that we understand this, so that when these takfiri people come to us and they try to say what they say, then we're able to answer them adequately, and we're able to rebut what they're saying and not be fooled and tricked by the doubts that they throw in our direction. And that should always be the case, is that it should be something that's thrown in your direction. Never put yourself in jeopardy by sitting with these individuals, by having open discussions and conversations with these individuals, so on and so forth. If you know them, you see them coming, and you run the other way. But you might be in a situation where they catch you off guard or throw something in your direction. Now, then in that case, then you'll be equipped and prepared to handle it and to deal with it and to repel it back upon them. Now, when they come with the likes of these things, I mean, no, that's a general rule. But now you want to say specifically for President so-and-so or for King such and such. No, that's something totally different. One, this is for the ulama. Right? This is for the ulama. Two, we know that it's not black and white like you're trying to make it seem. So therefore, all that Khariji stuff, they can go ahead with it. They can go ahead with it. Right? And the like. Binillahi ta'ala, the Shaykh was on to further emphasize and go over this point, and then he will get into the ruling of those who rule by other than that which Allah has revealed, and how it is different depending on the situation. Some of it is major kufr, others of it is minor kufr, kufr dun kufr. Now, the Shaykh will mention something about that, so we have some more details as relates to this particular issue. But inshallah ta'ala, we'll save that to the next class. فنكتفي بهذا القدر وصلى الله وسلم على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين.